Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, January 9th. A lot to talk about this morning. First of all, there was a powerful solar flare a couple of days ago, and the incoming coronal mass ejection should arrive today, and it could cause some northern lights at the northern latitudes tonight and perhaps again tomorrow night. So be on the lookout for that if there are clear skies in your local area. Again, a possibility of some northern lights tonight based on an X-classified solar flare that occurred on Tuesday from a very large sunspot region. Back here on Earth, we have a weak system coming towards the mid-Atlantic region for very late tonight and tomorrow morning. Even though it is weak, it could cause some problems because the ground is very cold. The temperatures will be at or below freezing when the light precipitation arrives. In the form of snow and or ice. By ice I mean freezing rain or sleet, and that's very late tonight and tomorrow morning, right in time for the morning rush hour in DC, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City. All of those big city locations can have some slick spots very late tonight or tomorrow morning. Eventually milder air, winds out. Certainly by Saturday we'll be way milder than we have been over the last few days here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Perhaps some areas along the I-95 corridor touching the 60-degree mark on Saturday, but it will come at a price of a soaking rain event. The rain will come down hard Saturday afternoon and night, perhaps up to an inch of rain in the I-95 corridor by the time this next system winds down late Saturday night. Well, last couple of mornings we've shown the record low or near record low locations associated with this bitter cold Arctic outbreak. It is obviously diminishing. There has been some easing of the Arctic cold. Nonetheless, there still is an area right here over the Great Lakes region where there's some record or near record lows this morning. It was just a perfect setup for a tremendous plunging of the temperatures last night in this part of the country. Madison, Wisconsin, right now, for example, is 15 degrees below zero. The combination of calm winds, clear skies, and continuation of snow cover caused temperatures to really plunge over the Great Lakes. They'll ease off quite a bit by this afternoon, perhaps rising all the way up to about 15 or 20 degrees above zero by this afternoon. So the big Arctic blast of the last few days is certainly easing right now, but nonetheless, still some very cold conditions across the Great Lakes region this morning. Well, let's kind of focus in on this upcoming weak event. Nonetheless, a weak precipitation event for early Friday in the Mid-Atlantic region could cause some problems. Certainly some slick spots are the possibility with a burst of snow and or ice late tonight and tomorrow morning. There is some moisture gathering strength here down in the south central part of the country. Here's some clouds, and we'll look at the radar in a moment. Certainly some precipitation already breaking out here. We'll get a little bit milder today, but still a cold atmosphere around here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Temperatures for the most part in the 30s at best this afternoon. North and east of the Mason-Dixon line, there may be some areas where it doesn't even reach 30 degrees. And of course the ground is very cold because of the brutal cold conditions over the past few days. So even though it's a light precipitation event coming late tonight and tomorrow morning, there can be some problems, especially because the timing is associated with the Friday morning rush hour. By the way, another area of interest is very heavy rain is headed for the Pacific Northwest over the next couple of days, and that'll spread rainfall all the way down to northern California. California has had quite a dry spell. In fact, 2013 was one of the driest years in a long time in many regions in California. Some relief is in sight for northern California over the next day or two as a soaking rain event hits the Pacific Northwest all the way down to northern California. Well, here's a look at the national radar from Oklahoma's Mesonet weather website. Lots of moisture gathering some strength here down the south central part of the country, and this is what's moving north and east. Again, it will not be a major precipitation producer. However, the ground is so cold and this frozen precipitation is likely late tonight and tomorrow morning up and down the I-95 corridor from D.C. to Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City. There can be a few hour period, a little burst of snow and or sleet, freezing rain all the elements that could cause some slick conditions, especially during the Friday morning rush hour. Lots of rain out here headed for the Pacific Northwest, again, from northern California all the way up to the northern Washington coastal region. Can expect a few inches of rain over the next couple of days. Well, let's continue to focus in on this snow and ice event coming for the Mid-Atlantic region late tonight, early tomorrow. That, again, could cause some slick conditions. Anytime Arctic air retreats, there can be some problems precipitation-wise on the back end. It's just very hard to dislodge very dense and cold Arctic air. Excuse me. This is the forecast map from last night's 0Z NAM, North American Mesoscale Model Run, for tomorrow morning. Right around 7 o'clock tomorrow morning or so. Notice precipitation here on the doorstep at this time of the big cities. You're just moving in to the D.C. region and headed across central Pennsylvania into the New York City region. Again, anytime after 4 or 5 in the morning, there can be a breakout of some snow and or ice in D.C., perhaps a couple hours after that in Philadelphia and New York City, right in time for the morning rush hour. And if you look at this blue line here as a rain, snow, ice type line, it cuts right through the Washington, D.C. area right around morning. And we know the ground is very cold. That's a red flag, the fact that we've had brutally cold temperatures over the last few mornings. So that could lead to some slick spots during the morning time. Let's go jump ahead now 6 hours. And here's the NAM forecast map at the surface 6 hours later. This is tomorrow early afternoon, Friday early afternoon. That 540 thickness line just grudgingly goes to the north, now cutting across southeastern part of Pennsylvania. Still some light precipitation, but all it takes is some light precipitation. I expect the worst of the conditions will be from very late tonight through the morning, with some snow and or ice up and down the I-95 corridor. Now in the afternoon, there still can be some freezing on some surfaces. Again, with just some light plain rain, still could be some freezing on some surfaces well north and west of the big cities, or even not well north and west, just north and west of the big cities tomorrow afternoon. Even some ice pellets still can be mixed in during the afternoon on Friday. By Friday night, the milder air should win out, and certainly by Saturday will be much milder with a soaking rain event. One last bit of information from the NAM model run. Again, this is from last night's 0Z model run. This is for tomorrow morning. We'll look at the same 6 hour time periods. Tomorrow morning about 7 a.m. and then 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. This is surface temperature, and the freezing line represented right here by that purple line cuts right across the D.C. region just south of Philadelphia into southern New Jersey, and this is about the time the precipitation begins. So again, I have no doubt that there will be some frozen precipitation from this event, and it looks like coming right in time for the morning rush hour. Let's now jump ahead to tomorrow afternoon, early afternoon. The Arctic air again is very dense, cold, and it'll reluctantly retreat here by early afternoon. That freezing line cuts right across the New York City region. It does rise to the north of Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., but again, don't be surprised that there's some freezing on some surfaces north and west of the big cities during the afternoon, maybe even a few ice pellets still mixed in. The worst would be in the morning, however, but the ground conditions are so cold, could get some freezing on some surfaces even into the afternoon on Friday. Again, by late tomorrow night, the milder air finally wins out, and certainly Saturday looks like a very mild day with a soaking rain event. Well, one last model to look at. We've looked at this earlier this week, the Canadian model. This has precipitation type indicated here by color, where the blue is snow, dark blue, heavy snow, and the pinks and reds represent ice, either sleet or freezing rain. This is for early tomorrow morning, and we'll step through this particular model, which I believe has a good handle on the situation. We'll step through it on an hourly basis. And notice here we have some snow just into the Philadelphia region, up just north and west of New York City by this time. Again, this is early tomorrow morning, about 8 o'clock or so. Freezing rain or sleet down in the D.C. region, and it just takes a while for the milder air to win out here. Mainly rain in the DC region, kind of slackens off for a while in terms of total precipitation. But notice when it gets a little heavier again later in the day, the Canadian model continues to predict some form of ice, either freezing rain or perhaps even ice pellets. And now we're a later part of tomorrow afternoon into the early part of tomorrow evening, according to this model. And still the threat, at least north and west of the big cities, especially from the Mason-Dixon line on north and east. There can be some sleet or freezing rain in the suburbs. Farther north and west you go of the big cities, the greater chance of some freezing to continue tomorrow afternoon into the early part of the evening. Finally, by later tomorrow night, the milder air pretty much wins out in all areas, and certainly it becomes just plain rain by Saturday morning up and down the I-95 corridor. And some of that rain will become heavy at times during the afternoon and evening hours on Saturdays. So a snow and ice event coming late tonight, tomorrow morning, up and down the I-95 corridor. Certainly not at all a heavy precipitation event. Nonetheless, there can be some slick spots during the morning rush hour. Stay tuned to the SIweather.com for any updates later today. That's it for now. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.